So I think we can start now. And today is August the 6th, and this is the SIG storage volume snapshot meeting. And today we plan to have review the CSI design a little bit again, just a couple of small changes we want to make based on the design we already have now. And then Jing and I will give a little simple demo, like showing how the snapshot works in CSI. And so first, in the API design, last time we mentioned we want to add a bound state into the, I think, snapshot status. So bound is a Boolean value. When this bound is set to true, that means the snapshot is already created and also ready to be used. And also the snapshot API object points to its corresponding volume snapshot content object. There are two ways of pointers.
Hi, Jing, are you sharing your screen?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to share my screen. Oh, no. Where did I share? So now you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So as I said, last time we mentioned we want to add a bound state. It's a Boolean value into the snapshot status. And this Boolean value means when it becomes true, that means the snapshot not only just created, it's also available, like if there is uploading phases, it's finished uploading, and also the snapshot is already bound to the volume snapshot content objects. So when all these conditions are true, so we set this bound to true. And we also have a created at timestamp. So for user to see when the snapshot is cut, is taken, so the user can take actions like resume the applications. However, so after the API review by team, so we also have a available at timestamp. So this available at the beginning, we just thought is also informational. So showing user when the uploading finishes. But this is not a critical information as created at, and also kind of have a little bit redundant with the bound state, because when the bound state is set to true, so that means it's also available. Considering because we can always add information, like add something into the API, but we cannot remove it. And we want to start with the minimum set of structs. So we, I think we suggest to remove available at timestamp. And also thinking about the situation that even after it is available and bound, right? Something might happen, like user might manually delete its API, content of API object. So I think the snapshot will lost its content reference, etc. So the Boolean value we can set to false if the controller checks there is something wrong with it. But how about available at timestamp? So it might become a little confusing for users. So after discussion, we are thinking, currently we propose just have created at timestamp, and then the bound state the boolean value for bound, and remove the available at timestamp. So anyone have comments about it, or?
I'm fine with this decision, but I have a question. So when we bind the volume snapshot content, does the binding happen after creation or after uploading the snapshot?
Just after creation. So when, for example, if there is uploading phases, uploading takes a long time. So created at timestamp will be set, and also the volume content, volume snapshot content API object will be created. And so they point to each other. And after that, the controller will like periodically list the snapshot, like checking the status when uploading finish, that it will set the bound state to true.
Okay. So it seems like ready is a more appropriate term than bound, because it also covers the availability of the snapshot as opposed to binding it.
Yes. So this then if we use term bound, so it's have extra meaning of it's also ready to be used. So if you think the name is confusing,
Maybe ready is a better name. Ready.
Right. So basically, this boolean value represents like all the situation, like all the conditions are clear, so it's ready to be used, and also the API object bound to each other.
So I think ready is a better name also because users don't really care about this dual object model. What they care about is the snapshot is ready or not, so I think ready is a more straightforward term for users too. They don't have to worry about the two objects, how the machinery works.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm fine with that name. Bound is just PVPVC has a bound, so user might get familiar with it. So I think in PVPVC, when people see bound, they know, okay, it's ready to be used. So it's, I think I'm not like strongly prefer which one is bound. It just kind of follow PVPVC. Ready is also good. So it means user don't need to like check anything else. So snapshot can be used to create new volumes. Any other like suggestions about name or?
Hey, Chai, I think it's good to remove the availability edit. It was a little bit confusing, so I think it's a good change. Regarding bond, I wonder if there is any way to bond snapshots to different data source. Is there any option to bound it to different content, snapshot content?
So different ways. So basically, we support two ways. One is kind of similar to PPDC. One is we call dynamic way, or the other is static. So dynamic means you only create volume snapshot API object, and then controller will trigger to create snapshot through the volume plugin, and then controller will automatically create volume snapshot content API object and bind them together. And all this through controller. And the other way is the user manually create a volume snapshot content API object and specify, okay, the underlying the physical snapshot handler, the ID, the detailed information about the snapshot. And then the content should also set a pointer to some volume snapshot. And the user, when user create a volume snapshot, which is also should have a pointer to the volume snapshot content, since this is pre-created, and the controller will find they like match to each other and bind them. So basically set the Boolean value, like, for example, bound to true. This is we call static binding. But is this something you like asking or some different?
No, I just wonder about the bond naming. If it has the right meaning or not. Freddy is better. I'm not sure. I think bond is okay, but I don't think it's critical. Terminology.
The terminology is, yeah. So I think user can accept, should be able to accept either one. So if no other like objections, I mean, we can put it right now in our API. I think we put bound, but you can always, like, when you review it, give us some suggestions. So if I see like more people like ready, we can. It's okay for us to change to ready. If bound is okay for most of people, then I think we can just keep it as bound. Okay, so this is for the snapshot status. So again, we propose to have a Boolean value to represent the final state, and then we also have a created a timestamp, so for user to be able to take actions based on this information. And another API change we kind of want to propose is currently in Snapshot spec, we use persistent volume name. So to
can you put the document on the screen you're talking about?
I'm sorry.
The design document is not shared, so I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, it's not shared?
No, it's just the.
It's just the agenda.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just yeah. There you go. Thanks.
This is the snapshot design PR in the community repo. Yeah. You should be able to check it. And yeah, another thing is the persistent volume name in the snapshot spec. So right now we just have a persistent volume name to show like where you want to take snapshot from, like which volume you want to take snapshot. And since we now propose to have a very general data struct called data source, and for PVC, so when PVC volume is created, where the data coming from, like, so volume data can be pre-populated to volumes. For snapshots, so I think in most cases, snapshot just take from a specific volume. But in case in the future, we have other kind of snapshot related operations, like let's say share or copy snapshot across different region zones. We propose also use this general data source. I think we kind of have this discussion before, but since now data source become a very general data structure, we want to see maybe it's better to use this general data structure called data source instead of just persistent volume name in a snapshot spec, so that it's easy for us to extend in the future. Otherwise, we just kind of fix with this persistent volume name. The data source could be another snapshot, if it makes sense, right? Maybe some use cases. So to share data snapshot, so you can create a new snapshot based on the old one. And so the data source would be another snapshot instead of process volume name.
Hi, Jinku. This is Samba here. I just wanted to clarify, like, you mean by data source, it actually means the parent, right? I mean, in general, does it mean like where it was created from?
Yes, so it means where it created from. Like if data source is a PVC, right? Then you create the snapshot from this PVC, from this volume.
Correct. So in the future, right, let's say if you create a volume from the snapshot, so then the data source points to the snapshot, and the volume can change. The data of the volume can change over a period of time, but that will point to its own object.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah. So all I'm trying to say is like, let's say, actually this is fine. Data source is fine. If you're saying like that refers to the meaning of parent object in a regular snapshot world, if it is referring to parent object, that is fine. Because tomorrow, let's say you create a volume from snapshot, and the volume data is modified over a period of time. So in that case, data source points to the parent object, parent snapshot where it was created, and the volume that got created from the snapshot, it has its own persistent volume name. So that should point to the real object for that volume.
Right.
Right. So in this sense, we are trying to use, here data source in a way refers to parent object in general in regular world. Regular snapshot.
So you mean the meaning of data source is more like the parent?
More like a parent. I just wanted to clarify. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think that makes sense. So here, like, if we think about like snapshot is just kind of a special type of piece of storage or volume, right? And PVC represents the disk, normal kind of volume. It has a data source, could be different data source, so they populated into the volume. And snapshot also the same thing. The snapshot can have their data source, so where you create a snapshot. But definitely in PVC volume, which represent the PVC, should be the most like use case. But if in the future we want to support other kind of way to create snapshots or copy snapshots, so it's give us the kind of very easy way to extend that.
Right.
To be able to do that.
Yeah, actually the chain will continue. Parent to snapshot and snapshot to volumes, and then again snapshots on top of that. So likewise, so that way data source is the way refers to that, which is fine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so we are like when we design it, we want to like to be flexible and to be easy to extend. So that's why we are thinking to use data source.
Okay.
And also after the data source, right, merging the PVC, so people should get used to the meaning of the data source.
Okay.
A question from Shai. Do we need to use a data source type as well?
So data source right now is data struct. We call it type local object reference. So it's like object reference. It has a type or kind. It has a name. So the type here, in our case, is PVC versus the volume claim.
How do you see?
Is the API object name.
Okay, but from customer perspective, don't we need the data source type and then data source name?
Yeah, data source type is a string. So and name is a string. So you just put, let's say, processor volume claim as the type.
Okay. Okay, I don't see it here, but it's okay.
Yeah. So it is in the, I think in the design doc, we put it in the PVC right now. We haven't changed the snapshot yet, but we will do that after, like, we agree it's called data source. So this is type local object reference, which is the data source reference type. And it has a name, and it's a we call kind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, so that's design review. So if you don't have other questions, we can, Jing and I can go ahead with the little demo. Any other question? Okay, so for my demo, I'm using the GCE. And so that means we need this is the external snapshotter repo. So if you go there right now, because the PR is not merged, so it's in the local branch. And we have the controller in the package, right? We have the API definition, and we have the controller, and you can check how it works. And also for GC, we need the CSI driver. So under the Kubernetes 6, this GCP compute versus this CSI driver, we have everything for the driver part. And it's quite easy to deploy. Under deploy Kubernetes, there are a few simple YAML files. For example, we have a node YAML file. Basically, it is daemon set. So when we start, all the driver will start on every node. And also we have a controller. It is a stateful set. And here you have the provisioner. And in my PR, so it's not here yet, I also add a CSS snapshotter so that the snapshot of provisioner or attacher, they are all like running inside of the sidecar container. And if you want to try, there is a deploy driver script. And here I already run that script. So on every node, we have the driver running, and we also have a controller running. And in the snapshot YAML file, it's very simple, right? You just specify, here we haven't changed to data source yet. It is the old one, persistent volume claim name. So you put the PVC name there. And also you need to specify a snapshot class name. So if we check the snapshot class YAML file, basically the most important thing, you define your driver's name, that's our GCPD here. And so the snapshot class already created, and I can go ahead to create this simple demo snapshot. So now it's created. If you describe the, so you see currently the created ad is set first. So because it takes a little time to uploading to the cloud, so the bound is not yet set. And so you cannot see the the pointer to the volume snapshot content yet. No, the content actually is set, right? Sorry. So this already set. So that means the content API object already created. So if we get the volume slash of content, so you see this is the content API object created by the controller. And if you describe it, it contains the detailed information about the snapshot. So the driver and also the snapshot handler, that is the snapshot ID, physical snapshot ID. And now we check the volume snapshot again, you see the bound is set to true. That means it's available to use. So uploading finish, and so we set this state to true. And so if you delete the snapshot, that means you delete everything, including the content and also the underlying physical snapshot through the volume plugin. This is the dynamic, like creating snapshot way to do it. I can also show the static way to do it. Any questions so far? Okay, good. I have a static snapshot a YAM file. So the difference here you can see is I put the snapshot content name already, and which is the static snapshot content one. And I have this content YAM file ready too. So which specify the detailed information like the handler name, snapshot handler, handle name, and also the volume snapshot reference, which point to the static snapshot DB1. You can create either content first or snapshot first. It doesn't matter. The controller just keep trying to find them until they find a match pair. And now I create a static snapshot. If you describe it, so you see it's found to true because it finds the matching volume snapshot content already. So it can set the bound to true. And if you, let's say, delete the snapshot content, so the controller, after it's bound, it still keep checking like whether the bounds correctly, like whether these two objects point to each other correctly. So let's give a little bit of time for the controller to be able to detect the content already deleted, and it should change the bound state. I think, yes, here you see there is an error because the bound snapshot just lost their reference and the bound state is set to false. Remember, in the status, besides created at bound, we also have an arrow state. So whenever the controller see arrow, it will put in the arrow state. Any questions so far?
Can you explain the storage class snapshot?
Yes. So snapshot class is very similar to storage class. In the design spec, let's. So basically, the most important information you need to put in the volume snapshot class is we call snapshotter. So it's kind of similar to the provisioner name. It's the driver name. So that when you specify the snapshot class, right, it knows which volume driver you are trying to use to create a snapshot. And it also has opaque parameters. So if when you take that snapshot, you need to pass in some kind of snapshot-specific parameters. You can put it here, similar to storage class, so that the driver will get these parameters from the snapshot class. So basically, the meaning or the function-wise for volume snapshot class is very similar to storage class when you provision your volume.
Okay.
And we also plan to have default one for each driver. So if it is installed, and if user don't need to specify specific snapshot class, they can use default one.
Okay.
Okay, so this is for snapshots, like control part. Any questions or anything like we're missing, you think? And after snapshot's ready, right, we should be able to create volume from snapshot. That means we need to use the external provisioner. I think it's not here. But we will show it next time in next meeting for the provisioner workflow. So Jing, you want to show its host path?
Yeah, I can show it quickly. It's going to be very similar. So just a short one. Can you stop sharing so I can?
Yeah, stop share.
So I will check with you this afternoon, right? Like 1:30. Yeah. See if it doesn't work.
So I already have
Thanks.
my plugin, HostPass plugin running. Now I'll just go ahead and create a PVC. Actually, let me show this. Yeah, so this is just point to the CSI host path, and I think the setup is pretty very similar to what Jing has shown. So here, we have a volume snapshot class, volume snapshot contents, volume snapshots, and volume snapshot status. Okay. And so now I have the PVC. Okay, so now I should have that. Okay, have volume snapshot class created. Actually, I need just to show this file. Yeah, so here's the snapshotter pointing to the CSI host path. And the last one is the snapshot. So here, specify the snapshot class name and the PVC. So this is the one that we're going to change next time. Okay, so this one is already bound. Create timestamp. Yeah, so that's it.
So this is the host path driver, and it's very easy to test. So if anyone interested, so I think you should be able to get it set up, and also right now the PR is in the local repo, and hopefully we can be able to work soon. But we definitely like good review. So please, if you have time, and give us your comments, feedback about the review. I'll put the PR link and also the community design doc there, and then the more feedback, better. So we can make it better and more soon.
And on Snapshot class, why couldn't we just reuse storage class? Is there a compelling?
That's a good question. So we've been thinking about reuse storage class before. Those for storage class, they definitely have a lot of information like fields that not apply to snapshots, and basically it's okay. It's optional, but it might get some confusion for users there. And also related to default snapshots. Right now we always have a default storage class there, right? And for snapshots, we don't want to kind of mix those default storage class with the default snapshots, and because the parameters, right? If you put both snapshot and kind of storage volume parameters there, and the driver might not be able to differentiate very well which parameters apply to creating snapshots, which parameters apply to creating volumes. So just give us the user and the controller confusions about those information. And we think it's good to have just make it easy and clean to have a separate snapshot class instead of reuse storage class.
Okay, and it's going to be implemented as a CRD, right?
Yeah. So
what's so I know this went before the architectural review board once. What was the things that they rejected from the initial draft? Just entry pieces of it?
In tray. Before we put everything in tray.
Okay, so we have no entry or API touch points for this current design, right?
For snapshot part, no, but only for PVC parts in provision volume. If we want to have taken provision volume from snapshot, where we add the data source. This is the only change we need at in tray, because PVC is in tray, and we add a data source reference in the PVC.
Okay, so we're adding one more new field to the PVC for this, essentially, right? I mean, the rest of this is pretty much outside the community except the collaboration on it.
Right.
Okay. I mean, it might be useful to highlight that in the doc if we're only asking for one field change. You know, it seems like a pretty small ask.
Yes. So,
but however, even it's a CRD, the API group is going to review it, so it's going through the same.
Right. So for review process, since Snapshot is a feature also under Kubernetes, so the the API review process, they still need to go through the API review. Yeah.
Oh, for the group, the API group?
Yes, yes. So they kind of, right now, they changed the kind of in the policy for those, and they have a API group, API review group, and they, for these kind of API change, even though it's CRD, I think they need to review it. We already have a team who can review it, and some time ago, Jordan reviewed it, and hopefully helping them to review again for these changes.
Are you hoping to get to alpha with this quarter?
Yes, yes.
And
So,
for the quick question for the CRDs, I didn't see which piece is responsible for installing the CRDs. Is it the external controller?
yeah, the controller. In the controller, we have a code to install the CRD.
Okay.
So if there already exists, it won't touch anything. If there's no CRD installed, the controller automatically install CRD.
Okay.
So is that okay? Like this way, the controller install it?
Oh yeah, it is. I was just curious because we're facing similar issue in upcoming CSI design, so I was just curious.
Oh, okay, sure. So right now, yeah, it works for our testing. The controller can just have created, yeah. And next week we will show the provisional part. It should be also very simple. So for the API, everything is good so far. Any other feedback, comments? And also the controller currently supports both dynamic and static. So we'll definitely add more tests. And so if you're interested, please also give it a try. And if you see any problem, let us know. Any other questions? Feedback? Okay. So then I think it's good for this meeting. And thank you again for everyone. And so we'll see you next week at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.